Welcome back to Beyond the Whistle, Boise's very own sports show focused on giving you the best opinions about sports from the collegiate and professional levels. We'll be your host throughout this episode. I'm Alex East.
And I'm Andrew Vincent. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing NFL playoffs, NBA All-Star teams, and NHL mid-season updates. So to start off, how about we get into some NFL? Yeah, there were two really big games over the weekend.
A little bit disappointed. We'll start off with the Eagles and 49ers game.
The NFC Championship game.
Yeah, obviously did not go as planned for the 49ers, losing Brock Purdy super early in the game to that shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. That was really disappointing. Then you have to go in with another brand new quarterback.
Yeah, Josh Johnson, which I think was the first time hearing that name.
Ever.
For majority of fans, at least for me, and I think even Niner fans. I don't even think the Niner fans knew who Josh Johnson was, but that was very unfortunate. I was really looking forward to seeing a clash of, two really good teams, and I think we would have gotten that. But yeah, when Brock Purdy went down, it really deflated their offense.
Yeah, and their defense. I mean, when we look at the stats of the game, rushing obviously dominated the game for the Eagles.
Yeah.
They only had 121 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts didn't do a ton.
Yeah, no. All their Miles Sanders, I'd say, would be the rushing player of the game, overall player of the game.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns for, 2 touchdowns for only 42 yards, though.
Yeah.
So it was I feel like the score of the game doesn't really show the game itself.
Yeah. It was a weird game because it was oddly close, because if you look at the beginning, it was 7-7. Christian McCaffrey gets in for that touchdown, and then I think they score again, so it's 14-7.
Yeah.
Niners get the ball. They're going down before the first half. And then what really I thought swung it was when Josh Johnson got the strip fumble, and they fumbled it. Eagles get it. They end up scoring a touchdown before the half. Now it's 21-7. Yeah. And then at that point, it's just domination.
And there just wasn't a lot that they could do other than rush the ball. I mean, before Purdy went out, he was 4 for 4 already, though. So he was throwing the ball pretty well, only 4, obviously, completions.
Yeah. And it's,
not horrible. It's really sad that he did have to go out because he was proving himself to be quite the young quarterback, and then he gets hurt before he can finish proving that.
It's definitely not how you want to go out. You rather go out fighting.
Yes.
Unfortunately, because it was his right throwing elbow. It was his elbow. It was right throwing elbow though. So he was trying to get it warm on the sideline, but I don't think he could.
For a second, it looked like he was going to go back in. Then they pulled him.
It must have been, because he's actually looking into getting surgery right now. I think he's getting a few medical opinions, but I think that's something that they're looking at right now.
Yeah,
which is
surprisingly
unfortunate.
not a lot from Deebo Samuel either. Only 33 yards.
Or George Kittle. We were talking about how big the tight ends, but he didn't come up big either.
Yeah. Devontae Smith either. I mean, the passing game just wasn't really apparent in this game at all. It was all about the rushing.
Jalen Hurts only had 121 yards passing the ball.
Yeah.
So they weren't.
Yeah.
They were all short throws, but they did get a lot of first downs.
No, absolutely, and they produced offense, and I think that there wasn't much that the Niners defense could have done at that point either. I mean, when your offense isn't producing anything. I think once Purdy went out, it was just kind of everyone felt like on both sides of the field.
I think there was just the glimpse of hope was when it was 7-7. They still marched down and got McCaffrey in. Maybe they could. Shanahan could just scheme up some running plays for them to, but no, at some point, the Eagles are a really good team.
I was impressed with the Eagles defense though, and one of the things we talked about was how we weren't sure if their line was going to be able to maintain McCaffrey, and they did. They proved that their pass or rushing defense has gotten a lot better. So.
Well, McCaffrey did have 84 yards rushing and a touchdown. So, yes, they did. But I guess I only bring that up with I think Isaiah Pacheco will be able to give them some trouble in the Super Bowl, but we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, overall, the Eagles are, I think, the better team than the Niners.
Yeah.
You know, if you look about all around, and then
would have loved to see Purdy.
Of course.
The whole game. I think it would have maybe been a different outcome, at least a closer game.
Better than 7-31, that's for sure. It wouldn't have been that.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was really unfortunate.
Yeah,
but
let's go ahead and move on to Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and that was a hell of a game.
Hell of a game. I picked the Bengals on this show, but like, to be honest, I like the Chiefs a lot, and
I don't.
Well, that's funny why you picked them then, but
because
they're good,
talented.
Yeah, of course. Well, they have the best quarterback in the game, and I think we got to see that this game, because Patrick Mahomes on one foot, like he looked good, like he's still moving around. It's not like he literally had a broken foot, but he was on an injured ankle, so he had to go out there and push through some pain.
That
and he got the job done.
Anything. There's nothing wrong.
Okay, but he's still dealing with pain, and he went out there, throws 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and makes the game-winning run at the very end of the game. Questionable because he got the extra.
Controversial.
He got the 15-yard
Quite controversial. I mean, I think that they would have gotten enough to kick a field goal regardless.
Yeah.
It was controversial because there were a few plays where Joe Burrow kind of felt like he should have gotten the same exact call.
Yeah.
There's been a lack of consistency, I think, from the referees this season, which many players, including the Bosa brothers, have expressed
100%.
A lot of dismay towards.
I think mainly it's that rule where you can't land on the quarterback, where it's like you have to softly or you can't put your weight onto them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of rough in the passer, even though it's a clean sack, but then you kind of fall onto them.
Yeah.
They'll throw a flag for that, but there are a lot of defensive flags that they throw that I kind of raise an eyebrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell was that? But
yeah. Regardless, I think that the Chiefs, I mean, it was a really close game, so you take that call away, it could have changed the outcome of the game for sure.
Yeah.
Give a call to the Bengals, but you know what?
But it was a penalty. He did push him when he was out of bounds.
Yeah.
So
I think the
that's just a
question
mental
more
mistake.
was there was a play where Burrow felt like he should have gotten the same call.
Yeah.
And you watch it back, and he probably should have gotten the call. So it's more so the consistency of people feel like there are certain quarterbacks who get more calls than others, like the old Brady. Speaking of Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, Tom Brady gone and.
Yeah, but on the other end, Burrow had 238 passing yards.
Yes.
1 touchdown and then 2 interceptions, which is very not like him at all. So
no.
I was very surprised
and
about
I think
those.
that's a big reason why the Chiefs probably walked away with this game. Because
turnovers are huge.
That's 2 more possessions given to the Chiefs that those could have been points, at least field goals for the Bengals.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs defense showed up pretty big time in that regard of getting those 2 picks to really help out the Chiefs because they needed it.
Definitely.
Offensively, obviously, they have Kelsey. But really, I thought the receivers stepped up huge because Kadarius Toney kind of went out a little bit early in that game, which he was supposed to be a guy to step up. But it really was Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yes.
Who
6
kind of
receptions for 116 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah,
and Kelsey, of course.
And then Kelsey, the reliable guy, the reliable go-to.
For sure. On the other end, though, I think part of the downfall of the Bengals in that game was the lack of production from Joe Mixon, which is huge because if you watch all their past playoff games, he is a huge producer for them on the offensive end.
Yeah.
He creates a whole new threat for the defense, and he only had 19 yards.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to get it done. It's interesting though, because would you attribute that to the defense of the Chiefs or bad play from Joe Mixon? Because I think the Chiefs played really good on defense and kind of slowed them down.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then you look at T. Higgins, who had 6 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown.
That's true.
Jamar Chase, 6 receptions, 75 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the Chiefs deserved that win.
They did, and
As much as I dislike it.
I'm really excited for the Super Bowl matchup. We got
I think
the
it'll
Chiefs
be really
and
great.
the Eagles. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Chiefs on that.
On the Chiefs?
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm gonna go 34-31 Eagles win on a field goal.
Wow. I wasn't thinking about score, but I'll go 31-27 Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm interested to see because there are two really great offenses who have been producing really well against elite defenses.
Yeah.
You just saw the Eagles have to go up against arguably the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
And then you see, the Chiefs' defense stepped up actually in the last game. I'd say more so than the offense did. So it'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs' defense can do it again against the Eagles. I don't think they will be able to.
That's going to be the biggest test of the game because
I think the Eagles have too many offensive threats.
Yeah.
Running with Miles Sanders. Throwing, you have A.J. Brown.
Don't forget Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and then Jalen Hurts rushing as well.
That's essentially two running backs.
Yeah.
You have to take into account you have one running back who's really good,
yes.
Pro Bowler, and then you have a quarterback who's essentially another running back, and
yes.
then you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the sides, and then you got Dallas Goedert. Their team's really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge task for the Chiefs to win this game.
And I think the Chiefs, one of the things we talked about, but on the other end, you have the same things because Patrick Mahomes runs the ball just as well, if not better, than Jalen Hurts does.
You think so?
On a scramble, yes.
I think, that's I guess interesting because I think he's better at scrambling and like making things happen out of nothing. But pure like power running, like in the goal line, like Jalen Hurts, they'll just give it to him and just pound it in.
Power running, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, on a scramble, he's going to produce more than I think Jalen Hurts would on a scramble. And that's another factor that the Eagles defense, who has struggled against the run, has to worry about.
Yeah. I think Patrick Mahomes, for the Chiefs to win this game, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to go.
I think he's going to have to produce a lot on his legs.
Yeah, I agree.
More so than throwing the ball.
Yeah, I think just making things happen because
they
really don't have. They don't have obviously they have Kelsey, but they don't have
a
standout.
It's like the old Patriots.
Yeah.
Like you look at the receivers and you're like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I recognize them from other teams, but you definitely wouldn't expect them to be like, this is when you start feeling like the stars would be. Yeah.
They're not Deebo Samuel. They're not A.J. Brown. They're not Jamar Chase.
No. And I think that's something you got to look at Patrick Mahomes and be like, wow, like he's here again.
Yeah, I mean their offensive line is absolutely fantastic. So
it is, and you give him
a lot of it to
them
as well. And I think sometimes we forget. You look at the stars and then you realize like none of that happens without an offensive line.
Of course.
I mean, you think about Joe Burrow's first year, right? Mm-hmm. He gets hurt, tears his ACL. Yeah. Horrible offensive line. They've completely rebuilt the offensive line to have it to what it is now.
Yeah.
So I would attribute a lot of it on the Eagles' end as well.
I agree. I feel like, football's won in the trenches, defensive lines and offensive lines. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game, and I think we're excited. Everyone's excited to watch this. So
yeah.
Want
to head over to some NBA?
Let's do it.
So we have our All-Star Weekend coming up in the NBA, which is super exciting. I know Andrew is more excited about it than anyone else. Let's just kind of break down the teams. We can start with the Eastern Conference. We have the Celtics coach, Joe Mazzulla. So that's really exciting for me.
I actually didn't even know who the coaches were, to be
really?
honest. I'm looking at the players right now.
Yeah, so the Celtics coach is going to be the Eastern.
That's crazy.
Yeah, super exciting.
Brand new coach. Okay,
brand new coach. We have gotten quite lucky on the coaching end, I have to say.
3 years in a row. Brad Stevens, Udoka, and then now another. But so it's kind of broken down into you pick the starters, and then from the starters, those will be the. Yeah, so we got them up right here. We have Steph Curry, Jokic, Zion, Luka, and then LeBron is the captain for the West. And then on the East, we have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, and Giannis Antetokounmpo on the East. And so just
to break down though really quick, I kind of want to go through it. So how the voting percentage works is it's 50% of it is the fans vote.
Yeah.
25% is the players vote, and then the other 25 is a media panel vote.
Yes.
So it's kind of broken down, which is kind of fun by
Yeah.
3 different groups of voting.
Yeah.
And fans do
Yeah.
actually get the
Yeah,
first.
and it's meant to be a fun weekend,
Yeah.
like almost like pickup basketball, fun, skill challenges and
Yeah.
whatnot. So they want the fans to be involved and
Yeah.
be able to pick, but they also know that, some fans were voting for I think Chet Holmgren was
Yes.
getting votes, and he hasn't played an NBA game. So
Yeah.
they're not going to let stuff like that happen.
Which is why they have have a
Exactly.
media
They're not
panel
gonna
and the
give it
players and the
100% to the
captains are
fans,
part
yeah.
of those player votes
100%,
as well.
but,
so,
yeah.
how do you feel about Joel Embiid kind of not getting into one of those starters?
Yeah, it's interesting because he probably should be based off of how good and talented he is, but they
there was
base
so
it
much
off
more
of positions.
too. There were 3 other players that could have been starters.
I probably would have put him ahead of Zion, or well, I guess that's on the West.
He's
I
on
would
the
have put
Eastern.
I would have put him ahead of Kyrie.
Okay.
But the thing is, you just can't because it's what do you call it? They do it by position. So
Yeah.
they have who's their center? They have, I guess they don't even have a center on the
Yeah.
East. Who's their center on the East? Oh, Giannis. I
Yes,
guess they have
wait,
Giannis.
yeah, I was gonna say.
So Giannis, if Giannis wasn't in there, they could put in Joel Embiid, but based off of they won't have 2 centers, which I think might be changed in the next couple of years, but we'll see. Either way, though, I mean, he'll probably get plenty of playing time, have a good. He'll probably be the top pick outside of the reserves. So.
Yeah, definitely.
But this year, I'm actually really excited because they're doing it in a way where. So you're picking Giannis and LeBron, the 2 captains, kind of they're making it like schoolyard basketball. So they're gonna I think 90 minutes before the game, they're gonna pick their teams, and then 90 minutes go link up and then go play. As if they're trying to make it kind of like backyard basketball, like when you line up outside and I want you, and then.
It's exciting, and I think they had to change it up in these last couple of years because it had gotten to the point where it was just so overzealous. There was no defense. Literally, no one was playing defense. It was just a shooting game for them. Their shot practice.
I agree.
And I think they've had to change it just for viewership in general because their viewership ratings went down by a couple million actually. So
I think when they made the switch from having it East-West, and they made it captains. And then they've started adding little changes from there. Okay, now it's the quarters, you win each quarter based off of a score instead of the whole game. And so it just makes players try more. I think the last however many, 3 or 4 years has been fun for me to watch. I think it's been a little bit more fun for fans to watch the games, and they're doing better than the Pro Bowl, that's for sure.
Oh, God.
We didn't get to talk about that,
We
but the Pro
didn't,
Bowl
but
sucks.
Yeah.
So.
And that's another one of those things. All these All-Star games are kind of becoming just more of a fun weekend for I think the players and just people who like certain players who want to just follow a specific player. I'm gonna watch the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean? But it's not really competition anymore. It's not.
Wait, so I want you to tune into the fourth quarter this year. Tune in because on the fourth quarter.
I like all the changes that they've made in the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah, because the last 2 years, the fourth quarter, the fourth quarters have gotten really intense, and you really are watching just an insane game. You got Giannis in the paint, you got Curry over there, you got LeBron with the ball, so you're just watching the best players in the world play 5-on-5, and it's really cool to watch when they're actually trying. I'd say the first 3 quarters they're kind of just playing around and having fun, but I'm really excited to watch it this year, and
I'm gonna tune in for sure. I haven't with the last.
And
few
Team
years,
LeBron, LeBron's 5-0 in the All-Star ever since they switched the, where he's been a captain.
Yeah.
So 6-0 this year,
We'll
hopefully.
See.
And then. Okay, so I know you wanted to talk about some NHL.
I'm so excited. So we don't get to talk about the NHL a lot just because it does follow the same scheme as the NBA does, same timeline. They're actually in their All-Star weekend this weekend. So Saturday night will be the All-Star game.
Yes.
Which is super exciting.
Yeah.
There are some really exciting players this year and last year too in the NHL, and I have talked to you about it, encouraged you to watch it. But we're going to kind of run through the standings a little bit. So it is divided into 4 divisions. There's the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. So in the Eastern Conference, we have the Atlantic Division, which arguably has the best team in the league right now, the Boston Bruins. Yeah, they're pretty unstoppable.
Boston.
It's actually kind of exciting to watch.
It's always Boston.
I mean, Boston is like a team that's always making the playoffs, like one of those kind of teams, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're super dominant this year. They are 39-7.
Wow.
So, yeah, they're really, really good.
Yeah.
Their defense is, like, phenomenal. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs are 31-13, so they're second in the Atlantic Division.
Gotcha.
The Metropolitan Division and the Atlantic Division, the eastern side is kind of better this year. So we have the Hurricanes, who are 34-9 at the top of the Metropolitan Division, and then the New Jersey Devils, which is actually interesting. There's like a lot of kind of changes this year in the standings. I just feel like there's newer teams getting put in. It's kind of exciting.
Based off of like, you know, maybe minus the standings, off of your eye test, like who would you view as like the top teams?
Boston, for sure.
Okay, and that's on the eastern side.
Yeah.
And then how about on the western?
The Stars.
The Stars,
yeah,
Dallas.
Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think that would be. The Eastern Conference is just a lot more dominant this year than the Western Conference, so be interesting to see how it's going to all shape out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But moving on to the Western Conference, in the Central Division, you have the Stars. Dallas Stars are 28-13. The Western Conference has just played a lot less games.
How is that?
Not a lot less games, but the way that it's similar to the NBA. Like, you have teams who are like 4 games behind.
Okay, yeah.
It's not like a lot less games because they're 28-13 versus 39, but they're like can be like 4 games behind another team just because they're playing so many games in a season. They'll have like some teams will have like a 3-day break while other teams are playing 3 days in a row, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually really similar to the NBA.
Yeah, no, it follows the exact same timeline. So.
And then it's like, what, 80-something games?
Yeah, it's like playoffs kind of fall around the same time,
Yeah, that's
too.
exactly the NBA, yeah.
And then in second is the Jets, 32-19, which is also pretty interesting. I haven't heard about them in a long time. And then in the Pacific Division,
let's go.
Both of our teams, we have first Seattle Kraken at 29-15, and then the Los Angeles Kings at 28-18. And right under the Kings is the Vegas Golden Knights. They're pretty much tied for second with the way that it's worked out. I think Vegas is actually 29-18, but the way that they do hockey standings is just a little bit confusing. But
well, that's exciting for Seattle. Second year with the team. And, you know, to be honest, I don't watch a whole lot of hockey, but I'm going to have to now if we're killing it. It's the same thing with the Mariners when I didn't watch
I always say
them,
hockey is the most exciting live sport to watch. Like, go to a hockey game and have it packed and your team is good. I mean, it is like, it's electric. That's the only way.
I believe it.
To say
I've been to a
it.
Steelhead game and those are fun. But
Minor league is even more fun, I think, only because, you know, the NHL has done a lot to stop fighting as much. So it's not as exciting because the fighting is the best part. But in minor league hockey, they fight a lot and it's exciting and it's fun to watch.
All right.
Yeah. So we wanted to like highlight some players right now to watch in the NHL. I'm going to kind of start at like 4 and then go up.
Yeah.
So we have Austin Matthews. He is 25 years old. He's 6'3" frame, so he's very intimidating on the ice. And listen to this. 106 points in 73 games puts him on par with Alex Ovechkin, who's 37 years old. Alex Ovechkin is one of the top scorers in history of hockey. As the only active player to go for 60+ goals and 100+ points in a season.
Wow.
So Ovechkin did that in the 2007-2008 season. So this kid is only 25. And he's already done that. So we're looking at
So some young blood coming in.
That's what's so exciting right now in hockey is like we still have like Patrick Kane who's still producing really well. Sidney Crosby, surprisingly at 35, is still producing really, really well. And Ovechkin is 37 and already has 30 goals on the season. Yeah,
that's crazy to hear, Crosby and Ovechkin.
I know because these are people who like I looked down as a kid. That's who I grew up
watching on like Sports Center. Like
Definitely.
I didn't watch hockey, but everyone knew who Sidney Crosby was. On the Penguins, it's like,
Yeah, so it's exciting to see like some of the old guys still have it. I mean, Ovechkin is still scoring like the same amount as all the young guys, but the like really exciting players to watch are really young, and it's really, really exciting to like see them starting to kind of come up out of their shell.
Yeah.
Then we have Nathan McKinnon on the Avs. He's 27. He's missed 11 games this season and is still on track for a 100-point season.
Damn.
He's phenomenal. I mean, the Avs in general are phenomenal.
When you say 100 points, that's taking into account assists
yes,
too. Okay.
yes,
I was going to say 100 goals would be
No.
impossible. Is it possible?
I don't know. I'd have to look at Gretzky's stats, but I don't know if he ever got 100.
That would be a lot. That'd be like 2
You'd
goals
have to add
a game.
the postseason into it as well, for sure.
Gotcha.
Another kind of interesting fact for Nathan McKinnon, when he's on the ice on a 5-on-5, Colorado has outscored opponents 37-22 when he's on the ice, and McKinnon has scored or assisted all but 2 of those 37 goals.
Yeah, and that's with him missing 11 games. That's crazy.
Yeah, so he's a really exciting player to kind of highlight right now. And his defenseman, Cale Makar, last season clocked 86 points in 77 games. He's only 24. He's one of the younger players, and he's arguably one of the most versatile players in the NHL right now. He's also on the Avs. He's an elite skater. He creates offense, also with being a great defenseman. So he's basically a threat everywhere on the ice, which is really exciting. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like a really young Drew Doughty, but better.
Okay.
So he was on the Kings. Yeah,
okay.
he still is on the Kings.
Yeah, I got
but
you.
It's exciting to watch. And then at number 1.
Yeah, she's been talking about him a lot.
I urge you, if you do not watch hockey and you want to start watching hockey, the player to watch, the most exciting player in the NHL is Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
He is becoming a generational talent. He is, this is someone like you watch playing the game and you're like, how are they doing that? Like he could skate through an entire team with his stick skills. He has the best stick skills I've ever seen since I started watching hockey when I was young. In the 2021-22 season, he had 105 points in only 56 games.
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, okay, so listen, I'm going to go back to some other stats, okay?
Yeah.
Cale Makar had 86 points in 77 games, okay?
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon is on track for his first 100-point season.
Yeah.
Okay, and in the 2021 season, McDavid had 105 points in 56 games.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty. And this season has been no different. He's only 26 years old. He's the best player in the NHL. And he's just so fun. Like, I'm telling you, if you don't watch hockey, watch the Edmonton Oilers and just watch McDavid.
Okay. Well, I've actually heard about McDavid, and
You have?
Well, through the video game. I don't know if you played the NHL video game, but I've played that. He's on there. He's like the top guy, so I've played as him, and he is nasty. But that's really cool to have that, talent, young talent coming in.
You've said you were trying to, I'd say he is similar. He's doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing in the NFL right now, if not a little better.
Well, I brought up the Patrick Mahomes comparison because if he's producing the numbers, but he's producing the numbers, but he's also doing it like in a way where you're like, oh my God, like how did you do that?
Like when you watch Patrick Mahomes scramble for like a whole minute and then throw like a crazy, that's like watching McDavid on the ice like skate through like an entire defense.
Exactly.
And score a goal. I mean, he is seriously so exciting. Like I get excited talking about him because I haven't been this excited about a player since my Kings won the Stanley Cup when I was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
So you're a fan of McDavid.
Huge fan
here.
of McDavid.
Okay.
Like I think anyone who watches hockey, people who don't even watch hockey would probably be a fan of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tune in. I'll probably watch some
Nathan
highlights after
McKinnon,
this.
who I just mentioned earlier on the Avs, literally sat down this All-Star weekend and said, he is one of those players who I watch him in a game and he makes me want to go out and practice more because he's that good.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of like a Patrick Mahomes or a Steph Curry or someone that you're just, your jaw drops when you watch him play.
That's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
it's pretty exciting.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today.
Also, we want to hear from you about what topics you want us to talk about. Tell us in the comments or DM our new Instagram account at BeyondTheWhistleBSU to send in your topic requests.
We want to send a big thank you to all of you for joining us. And finally, we couldn't do this without our producer and crew, so to each of them, we send our gratitude. I'm Andrew Vincent.
And I'm Alex East. Join us next week for Overtime, our mini episode of Beyond the Whistle.